Now, let me ask you this. When you were training, like when you were working construction and you weren't training people, how were you like navigating fitness in your life at that point in time? Because your job must have been extremely physical anyway, but you were still in love with the gym, right?
I just made it a point, no matter what. I trained every day. More when I was younger, bodybuilding. Bodybuilding, no matter how tired I was, cold all day. Took the train home. I got like a 30-minute nap a lot of times to recover. And then I'd train every day. I'd work out with weights and do my cardio. And then as I got a little older, I shifted my training, right? So I was primarily mostly a bodybuilder all through my kid days and into my 20s.
Yeah.
And then one of my close friends was a pro MMA fighter, lost a couple fights. He was really good, superstar athlete, very genetically gifted, two-sport pro. And he goes, I want to bodybuild with you a little bit. I said, all right, cool. Went to the gym. After 6 months, he goes, yo, why don't you try to fight and stuff? I said, okay. Went to Belmore Kickboxing, very known MMA gym.
And how old were you at the time?
I was in actually my mid to late 20s. I started late. And I actually caught the bug, and I wound up fighting a bunch of times competitively. And then, I just, then I lift the weights, and more which shifted now. I still train very often with the younger guys into whatever my capability can be. And my training did shift from being just a bodybuilder into more of an athlete. And that opened my eyes up more to train for athletic performance. How I learned to train an athlete or a fighter. Because I did it. I know what works. That's why.
And it still doesn't mean that you don't do a bent over row. Still doesn't mean that you don't do a deadlift.
No, you do it that corresponds to the sport, though. You don't do like 15 squeeze reps. You do explosive penalty rows, and there's different ways you could tweak and twist.
And the reason why you might not do that is because you can't afford to be sore all week.
Right. So how I learned that also with trying it. One of my friends was in UFC, not to mention names. He's like, yo, man. He's like, could you shift a little bit? I got really sore after last week. I go, that's what I'm going to do. I made the reps lower, bigger rests, and I shift around. He didn't get sore. For his skills training, jiu-jitsu and boxing, etc.
I think that's a key point that we maybe, I don't know, there's something about where if we're going to do something, like we want to do it so hard. We were talking about running earlier, and I was like, forget running, like maybe just try to jog and like go real light, go real slow, and forget about how you ran when you were younger. And I think sometimes when it comes to lifting, I think similar, especially when you're an athlete, over time you can lift harder and harder, and you can do more and more, and you could figure out what's appropriate for you. But I think doing a movement of a deadlift, doing a movement of a bench press, doing a movement of a squat, I think these movements, they have tremendous value, but I don't know, you got to kind of weigh out the risk to reward. As you were mentioning with the bench press, like somebody could tear a pec. I mean, you could get hurt with some of these things. You could make yourself too sore to where it negatively impacts the sport. I think Nsima, you don't really squat nearly as often with a barbell, but you do other types of squats, right? Yeah. And you mentioned your legs are smaller than they used to be. And probably some of that is because you're not doing so many things to like recruit as much muscle fibers and stuff like that. You're not doing as much breakdown through lifting, but maybe you're doing some breakdown through jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, right?
Well, I mean, I'll still do stuff like lunges. I'll still do hack squats and maybe ATG split squats and all those things, like hamstring movements, but I don't need to squat anymore as much as I used to. And in terms of the leg size thing, yeah, the legs have gotten a little bit smaller, but it doesn't matter. At least in the context of jiu-jitsu, I don't need to have, it's not like I'm trying to bodybuild and I need the biggest quads and hamstrings that I needed before. It's just that, I need the legs to be able to have endurance, move well. And yeah,
your value shifted.
Yeah, the value shifted.
Sure.
But that's actually what I wanted to ask you about, because I don't know if you went from focusing on bodybuilding style training to then training like a fighter. Power Project family, we talked to you about mouth tape before, and it's time to get better quality sleep, stop snoring, and wake up better rested. Andrew, how can they get their hands on some hostage tape?
You guys got to head over to hostagetape.com/powerproject. You'll receive free shipping plus a free, incredible, awesome bedside tin. Again, hostagetape.com/powerproject. Links to them down in the description as well as podcast show notes.
Oh, whoa, God. Yes, Daddy. Whoa. Look at this. Magic.
I thought something was wrong with the audio, but you just have mouth tape on.
It's called being a ventriloquist.
There you go.
Do you remember some hurdles that you had that maybe you did? Because like training like a bodybuilder, you look a certain way. So you look dominant, you look big.
I can tell you what made it shift. I couldn't move.
Okay, so but go into that. How did you have to shift, and what were those drawbacks?
So I was lifting weights. I started fighting.
Yeah.
immobile, stiff, thick. Got fucked up the first couple of times. I'm like, yo, this isn't working like this. Then I felt like my hips I just have naturally tight hips anyway, so squatting heavy didn't help that. So I started to I lifted weights a lot less often. My body got looser. Started lifting more. I tightened up. I figured out what worked for me. Putting heavy weights on my back for 8 to 10, but I would do pin squats for 5, where I stopped and didn't cause as much of that deep soreness and hypertrophy.
Not squatting down as low.
Bro, no, I would do it for strength and explosiveness more. So how I really learned this also, my friend Tony Ritchie, very known strength trainer, lives down in Florida now. He actually, and how you ask people and absorb, even though you kind of know, but you ask help from other people. Even though I know how to weight train, I've been doing it my whole life. This is just a different look at things. And he designed a program for me. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do 5 reps with 15% of that. Dude, it was super explosive fast. 5 sets, rest area, jump squats. Yo, I felt like I had a workout, but I'm like, I have no pump. It was just exercise, explosive fast move. Best I ever performed in a fight. That opened my eyes to that even more on what I did, how I applied it, and then how I performed in the ring. That's how I knew it worked. So reflect on that. When I first started training people and I started going into this and conditioning workouts, right? So you could do ball slams, Swiss ball, bike sprint, there's a whole combination of different things, okay? So I was listening to this one, it made me second guess myself. And maybe, I don't know, I'm listening to this one Swiss trainer, a guy from Switzerland. He's like, oh yeah, he was trying to simulate the ups and downs and the lulls of a 5-minute round. And then it dawned on me, like, you can't simulate that on a assault bike and a kettlebell. You got to do it. How do you get your cardio better for sparring? Sparring. How do you get your cardio better for doing jujitsu? Jujitsu, all that does, the word now is GPP, when you do these workouts to get your overall general physical preparation better for when you do the sport. You're not going from 0 to 1 billion. That's what that's for. Like carrying a wheelbarrow. How you get better at the sport is by doing the sport itself.
So let me ask you this. In terms of working with your fighters or wrestlers or whatever, you don't really focus on having them do conditioning work when they're with you. Like that?
Not so much. Some.
Okay.
I do with my guy Gregor, because it's what we do and it's fun and we enjoy it, and he beats his times, and he's just a different specimen on the planet. No, he doesn't. I've never seen him get tired. It's, it's unbreakable. But anyway, for most of it though, I believe in the strength, the conditioning you do with your sport. You want to go for a run and do all this stuff? I believe in strength training for my athletes. That's what I'm very good at with them. All right. So, yeah, pretty much.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, go ahead and comment down below and let us know what you liked about it. All right. Share this with a friend. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And also, we are on Reddit and Discord. All that's down below. All our sponsors and everyone that supports us down below there too, so you can get whatever you like from us. All right? Peace.